It's January 2025. I'm with Craig from Causyn's Cooling and Heating. Boy, winter just dropped on us, and here we are, and Christmas is done, and 2025. Are you ready to go? Are you ready?
Unbelievable. I can't believe it's 2025 we're here. First of all, Happy New Year, of course.
Hey,
Hope you had
same to you,
great
bud.
holidays, and Happy New Year to everybody else out there.
I
Wild.
got it. I want to share with you a story from many, many years ago when I lived in Port Ryerson, and it was when we first moved there, and it was an old furnace, and we had all kinds of trouble, and it was January, and the damn thing broke down. And I was lucky enough at the time. I knew somebody that was in the field who would come and help me out. And it's after Christmas. I'm broke. I had to send my wife and my kids to Burford to my father-in-law's. It was just a mess. It was a nightmare, to be honest with you. And I was lucky enough that person came out and helped me, and we got it going. And it had to be replaced eventually. But it brought me to the point where you always tell me about your packages where people can sign up. And I wish that existed back then, because I would have did it in a heartbeat, because it was it was it was expensive for me at that point. You're coming into January and February, and financially it's just a hard time. But talk a little bit about your program, because I think people, they should be signing up, because when an emergency occurs, I want you on my side.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point of this package in this system is it's basically a plan. We have a maintenance plan or maintenance package, if you will. And there's two different levels of it. One, we encourage to anybody, if your equipment is 10 years old or newer, and it gets you annual maintenance is included with it on a small monthly fee. You get 90-day diagnostics. Priority service is the big one. You come before anybody else as being one of our members. If somebody calls in, we haven't done work for them before, we haven't seen them. Sadly, they get bumped, but that's also sadly, as statistics tell us, we're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
But with this plan, it just gives you peace of mind. It gives us, reassurance of the quality of customers, and it helps us give you documentation paperwork should you ever need anything for any warranty purposes or any home insurance purposes. The basic plan covers all that. The step up plan is also almost like an insurance plan. It's a little bit more money, but let's say your equipment is 12 years old now and you have no warranty. By going on this plan, it's basically an insurance package. You get your annual maintenance, you get your priority service, you get your diagnostics, but also there is no fees for labor or parts should they ever need to be replaced in that piece of equipment. You call us January 31st, it's minus 11 and the furnace blows and we get in there and the vendor motor's gone. Thank you very much for being on our plan. Here's all the paperwork with the bill. You keep that as a copy for your records, but you owe us nothing. That's part of being on this plan and package, and just peace of mind. Should we come out and it is late or after hours, there's no additional fees. You would just pay regular rate like you would at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. There's nothing outside that. So it's just a security package, and there's multiple different levels, like I say, to whatever best fits your home and your needs, and whatever equipment needs to be on there and what doesn't need to be on there. The big thing too with these packages is helping support local with us as a local business so that we can continue to strive. We're seeing an increase in customers for whichever reason, whether it's a dollar value or whatever their motivator might be, that use an out of town or out of county company. And within a few weeks or a few months, we get a call back, and then the customer's upset because we have to bill them because it's a new piece of equipment. It should be under warranty. Well, sadly, the analogy I have to give them is if you just bought a brand new Ford and you took it to the Chevy dealership, would you expect them to cover all parts and labor under warranty? And that's what's happening with HVAC equipment today. Somebody gets a flyer in the mail and they say, oh, well, this guy's, $800 less, so we're going to go with him. But then they don't return. They're not a service company. They're a large-scale installer. And We're seeing an abundance of that in our industry right now. In fact, I won't mention any names, but there was a company or a customer in Port Dover recently who had a heat pump installed, got the rebates, and when he called back because it wasn't working, the company's doors were now closed. They profited while the rebates were around. They were still working in the industry, but under a different name and for somebody else now as a technician. So they're no longer doing that. So the warranty was now void, which was very, very stressful for the customer, especially after spending good money on it. And sadly, because of that, as an outside provider, whether it was us or anybody else, we didn't have a leg to stand on to support them to try and get them that warranty coverage.
You brought up a great point there, and I want to talk about that for a minute, because that's the other part about this shopping local. I think we've touched on this before, but it's critical. I do think that personally, because when you live in a community such as Haldeman, Norfolk, there's 100,000 people. There's a lot of homes there, but at the same time, you take care of your own. I think that's the critical component here, and I think when you offer a program that gives them peace of mind in the middle of winter,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very reasonable. Like we didn't go over the pricing, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. It's just that simple, folks. Like
Yeah.
I can't say it any easier. I think maybe we need to say what those programs are, because I think maybe then they can go. If you're calling Craig, call him, ask about the
Yeah.
program. Maybe there's something he can work for you. But I mean, it's that whole peace of mind in the middle of January, early February, when something goes awry, or in the middle of July when it's super hot, right? Let's not
Absolutely.
beat around the bush.
Nope.
And we have such an aging community.
Yes.
Like I would say to my mother, do this. Like, this is important. You're 82 years old. Like, when something breaks down, it breaks down. You're not gonna, hit it with a hammer.
When we
That's
did our
and they're so complicated too, right? Sorry, I'm
exactly.
interrupting. You got me fired up, because those furnaces, you can't just. It's not like it was in 1975, right? It's a
Yes.
totally different beast. So,
It,
and that's the other part we got to realize too.
Completely, exactly. And parts are not readily accessible anymore. And you also have home insurance and other safety
Factors.
standards and requirements that do require licensed insured companies to do it. Again, we've talked about this, but in Canada, with the castle law, you are the king of the castle. You can do anything you want. But what people are not aware of is how that drastically affects your home insurance should
Right.
anything ever arise or happen. It's interesting you bring up about the aging community. Last time we did a report, went through all of our current comfort and care members, which is our plans that we have. Almost 18% of them are seniors that we are specifically asked to contact the children as well as them when we do the repair, just to keep them in the loop of what's going on. And that's what we're there for. The kids may not live in the area anymore. They have families of their own, careers of their own, perhaps outside of Norfolk, maybe still inside of Norfolk, but in a different town. And that's part of what we offer as a service. Not only do we take care of mom and dad, but we also take care of their homes, but we keep them in the loop when we go and look after mom and dad as well too. And
When you
for that little bit of money, a peace of mind, they say, okay, great. So their plan, because their equipment is only 7 years old, is roughly $10 a month for per piece of equipment.
Yeah.
When you do more than one piece of equipment, you get a 10% discount. So should you do two pieces, now you're saving 10% off that there. Majority of our customers, in fact, I'm going to say almost 95 to 98, high 90% of them, all do it automatically on their credit card, because then they get the points every month.
Yep.
So there's no additional 2% fee for putting it on your card every month, and away you go. Then their mom and dad go to the $20 a month plan, and that $20 a month plan per piece of equipment is the full insurance plan. So yes, their equipment's only 14 years old, which isn't that old, but if something goes wrong, mom and dad are looked after. Cousins called us, said that they got a call for no heat. We went out, we diagnosed it, we did the full repair, we left them the paperwork. There's absolutely no bill whatsoever. And we've also sent it to the kids to make sure everybody's involved and that everything is done, looked after, heat is on, and they're safe. And it's year
So,
round, like you said, even
yeah.
if it's middle of July.
So that the one you were explaining earlier about the person in Port Dover who went to a different contractor, they're no longer in business. So when you go in there and do fix the problem,
Mm-hmm.
do you recommend that they go on a program with you?
Absolutely, and
Okay.
in fact, we offer immediately a 15% off any repairs should you sign up. So if I came, so that person in
Oh
particular, we
wow.
went to their home,
Yep.
and the repair, it took us some digging, but we were able to get the part for them under warranty. Um, but no labor, which he was promised a 10-year labor in writing, but unfortunately there was nothing to stand on. Um, so but that took us, it took Deb, better part of a full day of correspondence with a wholesaler trying to get this, because we have no proof of documentation of that it was purchased from that supplier, right? We have no trace. So,
Gotcha. Yeah.
the supplier's going, oh, well, you've got so and such brand of equipment. Yeah, we distribute those, but I got no record you ever bought it here. right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, we worked with them, and then we got the customer on the plane, and immediately they got 15% off the labor costs. So it works better for him. He's now got peace of mind should anything ever happen, and now he's dealing with somebody that is only a couple of minute drive away, as opposed to coming from out of town and wondering when they're going to get there and what's going to. So that's the whole part of this plan is peace of mind for everybody. The the good and the bad of HVAC is the good is that it is a necessary piece. We all have to have it in the home for comfort, sanitation purposes, hot water, heat, all that. The bad is that it's not flashy. It's not as exciting to be, hey, come and look at this new fireplace, or come and look at this new television.
Check out my Lamborghini of fireplaces.
Right, exactly. But it is, but it's something that we all must have. So for a very small monthly payment, you don't have to worry about it. It's peace of mind.
That's cool. Yeah. I know you got to go, but I want to touch on one more point because it's critical. You don't do, you hear a lot of fly-by-nighters, and that's, what we were talking about, the come and go. But when I see a small business that commits to the community and has been doing it as long as you guys have, like, that should make it stand on its own right there with anybody in the public eye. I mean, if I'm, Dave Scott of blah, 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 and you've been there for 20 years and you're trustworthy and you know what you're doing, of course it might be a bit more money, but I know what I'm getting. The value is in it right there. And I think that's sometimes what we forget. We're so attached to, oh, look at this coupon, I'm going to save this, right? And I think that happens a lot. And I think you just got to go with what works and will be there in the future and is local. Like, I don't think it gets any simpler than that, to be honest with you.
I mean, and the thing with us is, we have technicians that live in multiple different small towns within Norfolk. So, I mean, you have a very high chance of us having a technician close by at any given time of day, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. And that's, a service that we're very proud to offer. But it is that peace of mind that just lets customers know, like, yes, Causyn's has been around for over 25 years now. We have technicians that have been installing equipment for over 36 years. We had a customer yesterday who he had an issue, and we were the second contractor in the door. And the previous contractor is somebody I do respect, and they couldn't figure it out. And it wasn't until we got a hold of the manufacturer to find out that when you replace an igniter, you also have to replace the board, which is very expensive for such a small part. But it was because a small delay in it where it would cause the gas to release before it would ignite. So every time it lit, it would go boom, like it would kind of a burst, right?
Yeah.
Well, because this manufacturer only produced X amount of these over the years, they legally do not have to, in Canada, announce a recall. Well, we could have just washed our hands with it like the first guy did because we've done everything right. There's no way that anything mechanically would have ever told any licensed contractor knowledgeable that this part needed to be replaced because they don't work together. But in this small application, they do. So by sticking with it is something that we offer. A lot of my good local competitors offer it too. And we try and provide that service so that people can see there's so much value in staying local.
I got to let you go. Enjoy the cold weather. Haha. Stay out of trouble. Hope everything's well with the family. It's a great start for 2025. I love talking about these situations and these scenarios, and just, I'm with you, man. Support small business, whatever it is. Alderman Norfolk, support it, help it grow.
Yeah. Thank you so much as always, Dave. It's always a pleasure being here, and Happy New Year, everybody.